What's up guys, it's That Pan again. I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at G1 and probably down to G5. We'll just be talking a bit about them, having a little bit of fun and running through them, right? But G1 obviously looks like a rematch, okay? It's between Boone and ROK, and not just Boone. We have merged with SSI for this event to kind of have a stronger fighter force. I think in Boone, it's kind of been prevalent for honestly. I think since the dawn of time, right? That we haven't had like I would say it's not that we don't have whale power, but I think we kind of lack whale power in comparison to other big groups, which is honestly crazy to say because I think that Boone still does really well, but I think that Boone among like the top four whale alliances definitely has the lower top whale base. I think honestly it's kind of a surprise that we've won as many as we have, like as many matches as we have. But honestly, they like I don't know. Maybe we just perform really well or something. It is kind of crazy. Um, but I don't know, man. It is going to be pretty hard still. I think ROK are just like monsters, and honestly, I don't think there's a group that can compare to ROK right now in whale power, field domination, all that kind of stuff. And I think how our performance is gonna line up is really gonna be dependent on if these if all of these really big players that we kind of have here show up and kind of show up on the field, and we just have that kind of power just pretty prevalent. I think ROK is honestly just monsters, right? I mean, I say this a lot, but ROK are monsters. It's going to be really hard to kind of suppress these guys. I mean, I think right now we have more like 200 mil players, but even then, they just have like these insane top tier whales who are able to go ham, right? Like 1.5 million kills, 400 million T6 kills, absolutely insane. 450 million T6 kills, 200 million. Like, dude, these guys are monsters. Like, these guys are monsters. You got so many guys over here, over 1 billion kills, and I mean, Boogeyman isn't here right now, or like the other Boogeyman. I don't know. Like, he keeps changing his name. I think. I mean, unless this is the no, this isn't the guy. It's weird. I don't know where he went. Um, but he also is like a kind of a whale, right? And you got a lot of insane players. Over 1 billion kills here, guys. Like dominating these guys on the field is going to be hard. Draining them on the field is going to be hard, and like just diminishing their field presence is going to be a really hard task. But I will say things do not look all bad for us. Like, I know I'm just kind of like talking them up, but like the thing isn't terrible, right? SSI is gonna be a pretty good group, I hope. Here we have a really good merger here with these guys. We have a lot of really big whales here. So I'm hoping that we kind of have a good performance, and that's going to be nice. We also have MBD, and I always have had a really good perception on MBD. They're really good fighters. They usually show up. So if they are able to kind of support on the field, this is going to be nice if we can see their field presence, see if they help us out a bit, and this can maybe bolster our numbers, make our trades better on the field, and potentially make this fight a little bit easier. We also have IITI, we have Eastwood and stuff. I know like Eastwood isn't like most friendly towards Boone, but hopefully we do work together here. If if he's willing to work with us, I think our performance can be heavily bolstered by the fact that, I mean, this dude's a whale, right? Like, he'll be able to launch some rallies, and his rallies will definitely perform really well, and make our trades vastly better if we're able to like run double rallies, maybe triple rallies on towers with MBD, and that'll just help us out a lot. But yeah, let's kind of get into gold now. We're going to look at gold, look at their legion, and just talk a bit about them. So we have ROK, obviously. ROK, absolute monsters. They have a G52, G52. I don't know a lot about these guys. I mean, they don't look like a bad group. I don't think that like they have whale power either, though. Like, I don't think they're going to be like... I mean... I know I say it like, oh, I don't think they're going to be double rallying or anything, but I mean, they can still run a double rally. I think it's just kind of hard as a, like, if you don't have, like, let's say a 3 million might armament at the very least, it's kind of hard to take out really positive trades, even if you're just taking counter damage and running double, rallies with the main team, and you're not even taking the main, like, tank damage. It's still really hard to take really good trades, and it kind of makes it not worth sending those rallies and only letting the whales rally. We do have a Dev B here. We have Landshark. I haven't really like. The thing is, I know I see Dev B a lot, but I haven't like had a good chance at like kind of checking them out in a bracket, seeing how active they are, how much they're pushing the field. So this will be my first time to really see that. I'm pretty sure, like at least like firsthand. Like I don't know if we fought them before, but you know, I don't know how active they are, so I can't really say a ton here. But I mean, like, I think that they are still strong. I mean, they have Landshark here, and if Landshark just is sending rallies, that's gonna be good for at the very least, doing double rallies, which will make their trades much better. And I think a lot of this is honestly going to depend on the alliances on our Legion, how they perform, and how much they show up to how our performance up mid is going to be. Not to mention how the factions are aligned, because you know you have Azure and you have Crimson here. And honestly, after looking at Azure, I had a more favorable look at Azure, because I think whoever gets Azure is going to be in a more favorable position. And you know, honestly, every time I do these videos, I feel kind of bad, because if I'm gonna talk up one team and I like it kind of like indirectly talks down another team, and people are probably gonna be like, man, Panda, you're a prick. But I'm not trying to be one, okay? Like, I love you, Crimson, but you know, I just think that Azure right now is looking more favorable. You have Effie here, and I know Ultimo was hating this. They tried dropping to an all alliance, it looks like, which sucks for them. That they kind of got thrown in this bracket. But honestly, I feel like you get punished for just going into all alliances. Is it just me, guys, or do you think your bracket gets punished as a result of jumping into an all alliance? Because this is like not the first thing I've seen. Okay, and now NM49, we got NM49. They got a really big group here, and honestly, they got a lot more players than I previously remember, or at least like stronger players, or at least a few. Maybe they got some really good recruits in here. I mean, they have Whistler, and Whistler is like the old Envy account. I'm not sure how the armaments are looking like on this one, but just seeing this in general makes me a little bit more favorable of seeing Azure here, right? And this is one reason I'm actually more in favor of Azure. We also have Rise Against here. Looks like a pretty good whale, right? If their armaments are really jacked, this could be really favorable for us if we have these guys kind of even holding down one or two towers and making ROK kind of have to like put some of their pressure on that side, or maybe they're rallying on that side, draining some of their troops over there, or even if they're just having to hold some towers and you know, maybe give up a little bit of manpower to kind of hold on their backside and make sure they're not just getting utterly destroyed in trades. That being said, oh yeah, and I think this dude's armaments are insane. I know his gear looks kind of like it's there, but it's not crazy. I heard his armaments are insane, so we'll kind of see how they perform. I mean, Crimson doesn't look bad either. Crimson looks like they have a pretty good group. We have, and I'm assuming these guys are going with ROK, because from what I heard, and I might be wrong, from what I heard, it looks like Azure might end up teaming with us. Crimson, they have a good group too as well, though. I mean, they have 147. 147 is no joke. These guys are pretty good fighters. A little bit don't want to fight them, because they're a pretty good group. We have 59E as well. I think like the biggest thing I'm going to be worried about for them is if they have that kind of whale power who's able to make any trades better. I mean, I think the only thing that, like, if they're not running double rallies and stuff with like ROK, or they're not running rallies with them on towers, it's going to be really hard to come out on top and take really good trades, right? Like, I just see this being kind of hard to perform with. I don't know. That's kind of my take there. I just think that they need a whale, right? Like, I think in a G1, G2 or something, if you're not in one of the main alliances, it's really hard, and it's even harder if you don't have a mega whale with like maxed out gear or some maxed out armaments. We're able to just kind of go crazy, because your trades on towers is going to be really rough. Not to mention field presence is already going to be an issue, and dropping towers is going to be really hard without getting field control or field help from your allies. So it's just a little rough, man. That being said, let's hop into G2. So we're going to look at Jade first, actually. I think Jade is honestly in a rough situation, because I was looking at DHX, and DHX is always looking kind of strong. You know, they got some really good fighters here. But then you look at, you know, their allies. You got WOW or W0W. I don't see like tons of whale power here, tons of T6 players. And frankly, I'm not sure how like big of fighters these guys are. Like, I've seen like a few players, like, you know, older players, really low kill count. It's just not looking great for DHX in that regard. I mean, maybe some of the other players in the alliance are going to show up and fill towers. I'm not really sure, like, but it just doesn't look favorable off first glance, right? You got Ski or Sky here. I don't know how they want me to pronounce that. I mean, same thing here, not a ton of whale power. I think like the best they could do is maybe have these other teams trying to double rally with them and stuff, hold down towers. It's just going to be a little bit hard. I think like DHX, and the only reason it's as bad as I say it is because I think Golden, which is HMB's Legion, right, has some really big groups, and I think they just have a lot more fighter groups, or at least a lot more infamous groups, right, that you know a lot more about, that you know are probably going to show up to fights. I mean, like, even HXG, right, like this is a pretty big group. You have some pretty good players there. 2IS, this is a pretty good group too. Like, they have a lot of really big players. They have Toto. Toto is a freaking beast player over here. If they're able to run double rallies and stuff, and Toto's there, that's going to be really tough to kind of take on. I will say that from what I heard, it sounds like Azure is going to be allied with Jade, and honestly, this is like the light at the end of the tunnel, because I think that Azure has the best odds at changing how this bracket kind of performs. And the reason I say this is, for example, MK. And I know I hype this guy up a lot, but MK is a beast, right? And you got to understand, one of my biggest issues when I'm looking at brackets is like when I'm looking at a whale, right? And even if a team has a whale, it's kind of hard to understand how well they'll perform, because I don't know a lot of these whales on a personal level. I don't know how much they show up to fights, but I know MK shows up to almost every fight you have. He either sleeps or he's online fighting, right? And having a player like this who's as active as he is, his armaments are as jacked as they are, his account is as jacked as it is, having this one player, even if it's just holding down the checkpoint, even if it's just holding down one tower, even if it's just running one rally, right? That's going to be insane. And, you know I talk about MK, but obviously their alliance is pretty strong as well. Like, you cannot underestimate how good their alliance is, how good the alliances are in their Legion are, right? Who are, I would assume, are probably going to show up to these fights, right? And if they're willing to fill rallies, if they're willing to fill towers, this is going to be hard to kind of take on, just because they can, this is like a really good method to kind of drain another team's troops, right? Even if like they're kind of using themselves as sandbags in the sense, right? Like, they could really make this a really rough one and get people run for their money. I will say AK&D here does have Big Bro, but it's kind of like what I mentioned with MK. A lot of these groups, I never really understand the activityness of like their top player, how much they'll show up to fights, how, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard for me to give a accurate speculation about Big Bro, or how how much of a sway he's gonna have in the bracket. I mean, I haven't seen his armaments either. He could have max gear and have like 2 million my armaments. It's just a little bit of a rough situation to kind of give an estimate on when it comes to a Legion like this. Either way, this Legion does look strong, and if Big Bro does show up, I think that it's gonna be really hard for Jade, and I think they could give Jade a run for their money as well, just because, like I said, all it comes down to is maybe running one rally, being able to hold one tower, and having really good armaments on that thing, and making it really hard to kind of burn through their troops, and just, even if they're being used as a sandbag, at the end of the day, that sandbag is going to be taking a big chunk out of like these whale teams, right? And honestly, it's kind of hard to determine who's going to win this bracket. I would honestly say that I would say that HMB honestly has more favorable luck here, just because I think like the allies in Jade are going to make it a little bit hard for DHX to perform as well as they would like. I think like field control might be an issue and stuff like that. So I don't know, that's kind of my take there. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just like underestimating them. And I mean, to be fair, like I said, they have HAO on their side, and a player like MK is freaking massive, so I think that it's going to be kind of hard to hold that Legion down on the side, right? That being said, now we're jumping into G3. So now we're looking at G3. We got Jade, we got LAS, and LAS have absolute powerhouses, okay? And so let's go through this. We have Croc, right? And I know Croc has, I think, like a 6 million might hero. So this dude is an absolute beast. And I know their Legion as a whole, or like their alliance as a whole, have some absolute monsters. So when it comes down to like armaments and stuff, that's going to be a hard fight to kind of win against these guys. And I mean, their Legion doesn't even look bad, right? Like, they have some really good whales here. I don't know, man. Like, it's going to be hard, and they have a lot of really good fighters here. It's going to be hard for Golden to kind of come out on top. And I was looking at this, and I saw, like, for example, Pita here. I think this is either an alt alliance, or they just, like, maybe oh, actually, yeah, I think it is. I think it is, yeah. And then you have WTF, you have TBF, and I'm not trying to, like, bash on older region alliances, but I think this is kind of something common, especially with these groups, because you got to understand these aren't groups that you regularly see in like G1 to 2 or to 3. Whereas, for example, a group like SLF, you see them a lot more, right? You see them a lot more in these higher brackets. I think they're a lot more fighter focused, and I just think like it's kind of hard because you see in a lot of these older regions, a lot of these groups, the activity levels are lower, a lot of the fighting levels are lower. People will show up less to fights, and I think it's gonna be kind of hard to really rely on these other groups for BOD, right? And I think BOD in general already was coming in with a disadvantage of sorts. Like, to be fair, I don't actually know BOD like crazy. They might have all these players jacked on armaments, but it's really hard to say because I know a lot about LAS and they are monsters, right? Like, these guys are hard to fight. And I think BOD in general was already coming in at a disadvantage when it came to LAS, not to mention the might disadvantage. And now their Legion supposedly looks like it's not going to be the most active. It's not going to be the most like show-uppy. I mean, actually, I wouldn't say like this Legion's like absolutely useless. Obviously, like TBF isn't a bad group. I've actually played with them before. WTF does actually fight. It's just like, I don't see these guys fighting on the same level as I do with SLGS or Avis, which is also a younger group, which is much stronger, has a lot more like higher tier players, right? With like just more spin, it seems like. And I don't know, man. I just think that this is kind of a bad situation for Golden to be faced with. I also looked at Crimson. Crimson's looking strong. They have Evil, which is a really good group, a really big group. You have Wu, which is a pretty big group as well. I mean, they have a lot of big players. I mean, you have Bomb Bomb. I mean, he's not like a mega whale, but I think he can run rallies just fine. NC Wu, right? You have Thick One. This guy's a beast, right? Even if it's like just 2 rallies at a time, like these guys are gonna be able to kind of slowly drain a group like, well, I don't know. It really depends who they ally with. I think if they had to fight LAS, they would be struggling. I think if they had to fight Golden, they would still be kind of struggling, just because like the gear discrepancy. But if like let's say Jade and Golden are clashing and they're only hitting from the back and they're kind of getting some of the easier garrison captains, they're probably going to be trading on the better end, right? And they're not going to have to worry as much about field. I will say Azure is also pretty strong. You got Lion here. You got AOW, you got Top One. Honestly, these groups aren't bad. I will say I think that Azure is maybe on the weaker end of like Crimson. I think Crimson's honestly kind of at a bit of an advantage here on willpower maybe, and that might be the biggest issue that Azure is going to kind of face. And if Azure wanted to win, I would honestly say that right now I am in a much more favorable light of Jade. So if Azure sided with Jade, I think that they would win. If Crimson sided with Jade, I think that they're still going to win. I honestly think that Jade just has an inept advantage, right? I think it's just going to be really hard for Golden to come out on top here. I think it's just kind of a rough situation they're kind of forced to face with. I mean, honestly, they could still lose though if they're fighting Crimson, just because I think that Evil's such a big group. I think Lion is also really strong, but I'm not sure. I'm not as confident about like their armaments and stuff. But I also don't understand. I also don't know as much about them. But I guess we'll have to see how things pan out from there. I do want to tell you guys, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to go G4 or 5 this time. I had stuff kind of come up, and that's why you actually see my video cut off right there. I'm gonna end it there. This video is gonna come out a bit late today. Sorry guys, I do appreciate you guys for watching though. I hope you guys did enjoy my little bracket review, G1 through 3. And yeah, I do appreciate you guys as always for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video, and that is it. Peace out.